why tuples, why list, why set, what strings are meant for, okay, and a different set of conditional statements and a different set of looping statements, or we also call them as the iterative statements. All this, of course, we require. Okay, so now based on these concepts, now we are coming up with a one more thing called as a functions. Here the functions are not the concepts, it is a feature. Now coming to the clarity, what makes the difference between the concepts and features? Okay, see, feature in the sense an concept that is being added extensively for which makes which makes the functionality works faster. Example, I'll say, right now, if we ask you peoples to write a program in which every statement you need to create. Let me repeat again. We write a programs just by initializing the value, just by calling the statement, just by initializing some print statement or input statement or read statement, means which are already, the library is ready. But if I ask you people to create those and then writing, so that becomes a tedious task. For example, see, today we people are learning the concept called as programming, that too in the form of a Python. But before the Python, other few programming languages were there, which I already said. The .NET was there, the Java was there, the Kotlin was there. Before that, C hash, okay, and like C++, many programming languages were there. But don't forget, all these languages are high-level programming languages. All these programming languages are high-level programming languages. Then what about the low-level programming languages? We call them as a MASM, M-A-S-M. Okay, so that is one of the particular tool was there, which was actually used for assembly programming languages. And of course, just a revert back to concept one, we basically learn programming from the beginning called as a C language, but it was named as a C. Why? Because the initial languages were there that are being inherited called as a B and as well as A. Okay, the A was also called as a assembly level programming language. Okay, assembly level programming language. That assembly level programming language was upgraded to B language. The B language has been upgraded to the next, call them as a BCPL. We call them as BCPL, means basic combined programming language. Later that BCPL has been upgraded to called as a CPL, combined programming language, which is also called as a C language. So later the C became C++. There actually the object oriented concept has come. When the object oriented concept was introduced in the real-time market, the problem is that we wanted to write some extensive set of code. Today what we write in Python is really, let me say, some 60% of the code is reduced. You know how? So today, if I feel that all you peoples who feel that Python is tough, na, the rest of other programming languages could have been still more tough. Why? Because there we have a statement, something say that everything should be written in small letters. In case by mistake, if you written in a capital letters, that returns with an error. And unnecessary spaces you could have not been put in between. And unnecessary dots you shouldn't place it. Unnecessary space, semicolons you should not place it. And see, every condition was there that than your logic, the time or the importance was given for the syntax. Means you should write the statement in that particular format itself. And but there, see, the logic if it is of some was there that then your logic was for the time 40%. Or the importance was given for the syntax. Means you should take care not about the logic what you want to write for the program. You should take care of writing the syntax to, like, did I leave a space? Did I use a dot? Did I use a comma? Did I use a time? Or the importance was given for the means how many flower brackets have been opened and how many have been closed. Did I close it any something in the wrong so that I'm going to get error? Means being a programmer, don't forget that in a regular programming languages, there is 99% chances of being errored with a program. Repeating again, there was a chances of failing to write a program. How many percent? 99% of the chances you could fail in writing the program. What is that 1% chance? The instead of using flower braces, if I use a curly braces, square braces, that's wrong. And instead of writing in the new line, if you write it in the same line, that's again the wrong. See, every aspect is been taken. It is something like, I'll refer you one textbook. In that textbook, I'll refer you a particular page number. In that page number, I'll refer to you a particular paragraph. I will be asking you people to write the paragraph as it is. Of course, I can't resemble the handwriting. Watch the handwriting. You should write with your handwriting itself. But don't forget, if the dot is used dot, if the symbol is used a symbol, if they use capital letter, you have to use a capital letter. And most importantly, if some 80 characters are being fit into one line, you should fit that 80 characters in the one line itself. So that was called a strict syntax method for the previous programming language. There, the user has spent a lot of his time for writing the syntaxes, the perfect manner itself, than the logic. But when this object-oriented concept was taken over by the C++, then that is being upgraded with some extended programming language called as Java, .NET, Android. So many what programming language today we have it here, all this. But even they do have a problem with the same concept of writing the syntaxes. But to override that, the Python has come. The Python is purely called a high-level programming language in which your focus is purely on only the logic. Only the logic. Okay, what is that? Just a minute, sorry. Yeah. So only on the logic your focus should be there. If I have a focus on the logic, will I be able to write a code? Yes, of course, with minimum changes. Because there's one thing that we wanted to understand. See, whenever you write a program, always you're writing a program to make somebody to understand it. I hope you understand this one, right? So you are writing a program not for yourself. You are writing a program that it should understand by somebody. Somebody in the sense, some machine, right? See, it might be a mother tongue. You speak a mother tongue in your home, so it works very well. But when you're working some part of, to another part of the country, then what happens? You need to follow some standards of over there. Okay, means, of course, I'm not translating it. I'm just writing in their own language so that the translation process will take place in the shortest time. I mean, the Python is also called as what? Not a compiler, it is called interpreter. Python is also called as an interpreter. What interpreter? What compiler? The compiler is a one which is going to convert high-level language to low-level language. Okay. The converted content, what was in high-level to low-level language, that low-level language is what being taken for execution. Okay. Whose job? The interpreter job. The same is again here. When you people are going to write a program in Python, it is not going to compile. It just interprets. Means half of the time is reduced. Why? If I want to compile, I wanted to follow standards of the programming language, and I want to follow particularly. For example, I'll give an idea. Already you people have an idea of writing if condition statements, right? Okay. In Python, what do? We use a word called as if. In C to C++ also, we can use a, yeah, I'll explain. I'm going to put that into, anyhow, my PPT is ready for that. I'm going to show you people's. Okay. So when you people are going to write if condition in Python, I'll be using a standard called as if space condition with colon. Yes. But when you wanted to write an if condition in other programming language, I want to write if a statement and followed by braces and then use some curly braces. Okay. So let me put it on the screen so that you people can understand better. I'll do that in just a minute. Hmm. So I hope you people can see the screen right now, right? Okay. So here I'm going to take something, what I'll say, if condition. Uh, Using C or C++. Okay. So here I'll just show you the resemblance here. We were about to write something called as if condition, bracket should be closed, for bracket should be open, and here I used to write some statements one. Okay, so like this I was about to write it. Statement one, and this is statement two, something so on. I could write it too many statements here. But the same thing when I'm going to use it into the other format, for example, let me duplicate, or I'll do yeah, this is using Python. Okay, so in this what we do is that we are going to write the same if condition with a colon. Okay, and there here we are supposed to take it for it as 1, then 2, so on. Okay, so now just if you can see the difference here, so both the syntaxes I'm presenting on the screen right now, right? So here the things you have to take care is that the brackets, the things you have to take care is about the curly braces. But here it is not like that. If I just focus on the colon, that is enough. So maximum part of the time that can be reduced here. And we are not taking care of that, how many brackets is open and how many brackets have been closed or something like that. So these are the certain things which are minor in understanding, but literally they are the one which is going to reduce a lot of time. Okay. Do you see? I mean, you can ask me, sir, like using the braces and all these things, will it kill the time? See, now you people are learning as what is if condition, what is conditional statement, what is looping statement, what are functions, what are tuples, what are list and all. Okay. So regarding to that, you learn them as an example. But when we are going to give you some concept called as a project, and that project is all about some particular idea to be executed. So that idea, how do you invoke? There, you will just break all the barriers saying that, oh, I want to use only if condition. No, I want to use only looping statement. No, I want to use arrays. Should I use arrays or should I use a list? Should I use a list or should I use a set? And when should I use a dictionary? And when should I use the user-defined functions? And when should I use some built-in functions? Too many questions. Now, among all these questions, you are going to choose one certain right method to execute. Okay, because ultimately, as a learner, you are learning as what? You are learning as a particular concept. As a particular concept, and your focus is on understanding about what is that and what is the syntax and how do I write it and how do I put some basic logic to test it. But when a project is in your hand, you leave the concept, but there you are going to work on an idea that to implement this idea, when should I take an input and what all the input should be taken and how the thing should be converted and how to be tested with a condition, then call which function is suitable, and then call which iteration is suitable. Should I write it sub-function? What should I write it? All. You are going to mix with all the concepts and then come out with an explanation. So that makes the difference here. Okay. So now just I'm giving you the idea between other programming language to Python. Okay. Now, why am I taking this one? Because the next concept we have it, as I said, functions. Okay, this is where exactly almost the things are going to help you out. Okay, now I'm going to share that screen for you. Yes. Now I think you got something on the screen, right? Okay. So the next topic, as I said, functions. What are functions? What's the importance of functions and why function? And finally, how to work with functions, right? Okay. So now, here before, whatever the programs you might have written, all the programs you people have written by the own. Yes. Sir, is this a first lesson that was standard? Yeah, exactly. This is a first lesson. Yes. Anything to discuss? Okay, now I'll just come back to the topic. Yes, I was saying about the thing called function. Why? What is function? A function is a group of statements are defined with a one particular name. Let me repeat again. A function is a group of statements that are combined and put together with one definition of name or defined with a name. Okay, why? Why do we require this? Means in case my program requires some repeated set of calls. Example, I write a program and that program I want one particular block of logic. Do listen. I want to repeat one block of logic as more number of times, not repeatedly, whenever is required, not repeatedly, whenever is required. I want to call those function. When I want to call those function, then this concept is used. Okay, so what happens? I'm going to make the things ready. For example, I will say the very first program for you peoples, you are going to write a program for calculating the student marks, calculating the student marks. And even I already said you people are going to use if statements. You're going to use a if statements for finding out the results. As I said, 6 combinations were there: fail, pass, fail, pass, second class, first class, distinction. 5 combinations. Okay, now these combinations are the one I'm going to write the logic once, but I would test this logic on every type of student. What is the benefit with this? Let me say you, when you are going to choose as a function. So now what happens? I'm going to pass a particular marks, all the subject marks, which can give me the result fail, which can give me the result second class, which can give me the result distinction, again which can give me the result first class, again which can give me the result second class, again which can, because if I say 1,000 students are there, all these 1,000 students are categorized in any among these 5. Understand? Okay, now if that needs to happen, should I rewrite the code every time? For example, for the student number 1, should I write the logic again? For the student number 2, should I write the logic again? For the student number 3, should I write the logic again? So in that case, for how many students should I write the same logic? The problem occurs. In that case, what will I do is, I will write the complete logic, what it can be suitable for, only once, and that once can be called as many as number of times. Yes, that's possible. That is itself is what we call it as functions. Okay, so let me redefine again. What do you mean by function? A function is a group of statements. Repeating it, it's a group of statements that are being defined with the one name. Defined with the one name. Okay, so that next onwards, do you want to process something? Then call the name. That's it. You want to process again, call the name. Process, repeat again, call the name. That's it. Okay. So if this is a function, then what do I learn more about the functions? Now let's go to the next screen over here. Yes. As I said, there is a definition on the screen here. Okay. What is a function? Okay. A function is a block of organized, reusable code that is used to perform a single or related action. Function provides a better modularity for your applications and the high degree of code reusing. As I repeated at reusability, don't forget the word, because I write the code once, use many number of times. Write the code once, use many number of times. That's a rule for functions. Okay. So I said group of statements now. Yeah, that has been put into a block. Yes. Okay. Now coming to the next. Yes. See the question there. If the functions are so important, then what are the rules and regulations we need to follow? I mean, syntax. It's pretty much important, right? Okay, let me say you. See, the functions, as I said, which can be reused. If they need to be reused, it is must and should that it has to be created. It has to be created. If this function should be created, then what are the rules need to be followed? That I have listed it before. But let me say you one more. Before I go to the each and every topic there, the first we have to understand is how many types of functions are there. How many types of functions are there? The functions are basically just categorized of two types. Which are those then? One sec. Yeah, Rahman, you can speak now.
Sir, can you show the previous slide, sir?
I'll go to that. Just before that, I wanted to give one small explanation, and then I'm going to come back to the screen. Okay, I'm going there. Don't worry. Okay, so I said the functions are of two types. We call them as built-in function, user-defined function. Now, some question to you. What? If the built-in functions are there, should I need to create anything? No. Should I follow to have some sort of rules for that? Nothing. Because already they are readily available. They are readily available. But when it comes to user-defined function, the user-defined functions are the one which you people need to create, which are not readily existed. They're not available. You need to create. When you need to create, then you need to write a logic. When you need to write a logic, then follow the rules. Hope you understand. Okay. Built-in function, you need not to create, which are already existed. You can just call them. But when it comes to user-defined function, you need to create. When you wanted to create it, then you have to follow some set of rules. And that rules are so simple, just we are going forward to that. Okay. So now let me. Yes. See, what is the rule? The very first important rule is that you need to, don't forget, you need to use a word called as DEF, means a short form of definition. A short form of definition. Okay. So if I'm going to use a word called as DEF, that consider as you are defining a function. If you don't use a word called as DEF, it thinks that you are calling that function. But when you're calling a function, the function should already be existed, right? When the function is not existed, then ultimately, how can we do it so? Not possible. So that is what. So DEF. See, These are some rules. The first, let's go with the point by point here. Function block begins with a keyword def followed by the function name and parenthesis. Function name and parenthesis. And I hope there is a small repetition in this. I'll just make it one. Yeah, I have put some 4 braces, right? Okay, sorry, there are only 2 braces. There are only 2 braces. Okay, what is that? And one condition. When you are going to use the function name, the function name should not have any spaces. Understand? Rule for identifiers. We have some identifier rules, right? The same thing we need to follow. Okay, so function name should not have any spaces. That's the first point. Now, what is the second point? Any input parameters or arguments should be placed within the parenthesis. Yeah, obviously. Okay, anything you want to make something specific to the function, then that can be placed inside the braces. Inside the braces. Okay, and you can also define parameters inside the parenthesis. Yeah, obviously. The point has the second point has 2 statements in it. The first statement, anything you want to inject an information to the function, then you have to write them into the quotes directly. No, I want to pass as a variable, then pass it in the parenthesis. We'll see it as an example. Then you're going to get much clear about it. So the first point says that what? Use the definition keyword, DEF. It's a keyword followed by function name without space with the parenthesis. The second one, if you want to pass any parameters, then you can pass them directly inside the parameter, inside the braces, or you can pass, if you want to pass a string, then use the quotes. That's the second point. Now the third one, the first statement of the function can be optional statement. The documentation string. See, the documentation string of the function or doc string. What is this? Something confusing, na? Don't worry. I'll put a syntax, and then you're going to understand it very clear. Okay. So, did you people have an idea about doc strings? Any idea about doc strings earlier? Okay. Now, see, I'll make it very easy, convincing for you peoples. Do you know comments? Yes. Okay. So the comments were the certain things we used to use a hash code, right? We used to use hash for representing the comments. Okay. But when it comes to doc strings, the doc strings are the alternative comments. Alternative comments, which are used to write a multi-line documentation, which are used to write multi-line documentation. What is the purpose of that? See, when you are going to write a multi-line documentation, sir, are they used to document the code, sir? Literally, yeah, perfect. Yeah, good one. Yes. See, the comment is a one which says that what this function is for. What this function is for. But the doc strings are going to give you the instruction that how exactly the code is going to work and why is the function is being defined. Now, think you are working in a company where you have worked for a number of years in it, and then you have been a main part of the programming where you have written a bunch of containts or bunch of logics, or which is at the ready running models. Okay, then if the same programs or the same models or the same code could have been taken by somebody else to work, to take it continued for the next work, okay, there, how does the new persons would understand your logic? How does they understand what is the purpose of having the functions with the name what you have been chosen? Means you have written a program on your knowledge. how does the other persons will get to know? There should be something, the knowledge transfer, right? That knowledge transfers for the multiple lines will be written in docstring format. Will be written in docstring format. So that docstrings are supported in functions, not functions. Throughout a program structure, you can write it anywhere. But here I use that concept to convince you. So two types of statements are there. One, comments. The second one, docstrings. Comments means what? Which a machine is not at all going to trace that. Machine is not at all going to trace that. But when it comes to docstring, the machine is going to read the content. But of course, that will not affect to any logic. Understand now? If a program should not read anything, then put that into comment line. No, the program should read a content, but that should not get affected with anything. Then that we call it as docstrings. The only advantage with the comment line and the docstring is the comment line is single line. The docstrings is for suitable for single or even multiple lines also. Single as well, multi lines also. That's the difference. Okay, so clear that is. Now, the another most important thing is indentations. How about indentation?
Space left between after a colon
Yes.
in the next line.
Is that important?
Yes, sir.
Literally important. You know why? Believe it or not, these indents are the one which has replaced the code. I mean to say the braces, the curly braces. Because as I shown you in the other screen, saying that the curly braces were being used to merge the multiple set of statements. But here what happened? When we use a perfect space of indentation for every line, then it consider that that belongs to the group. That belongs to the group. Okay, so that is why the indentation. So the first rule is DEF with function name and parameters. The second one is docstring. If you want to use it, you can provide it. The third point is follow the indentation. Follow the indentation. The last point, don't forget, every function should have return. Every function should have return. If nothing need to return, even then you have to use a word called as return. If something needs to return, then you have to pass the what you have to return. So return is the last word which consider that that's the end of the function. Hope you understand. The return is the last word which consider that that's the end of the function. Clear? Okay. So anything if you want to return. If nothing to return, you can use a return with an empty, or just the way I'm just going to follow the syntax for you now. Clear now? So what is function? Group of statements they put into a block with one definition, one name of a definition, okay, with some set of parameters. That is, how many types of functions are there? Two types of functions are there. Name them. One is built-in function. The other one is user-defined function. What are built-in function? The functions which are already existed, in Python is called built-in function. Then the second question, what are user-defined function? The user-defined functions are the one which the user is going to create specifically for your particular jobs or for the user particular jobs. Okay. Now, when it comes to built-in functions, how many functions are there? We'll see one by one. And how does the user-defined function we are going to create? So that we see it in the next screen. Just see that. These are type of functions. See, now I'll come back to the one. Sorry, just I'll give a clarity about it. Functions that readily comes with Python. I just made them into the bold. Okay, so that we need to remember these lines. See, sometimes there are few things that we need to be most careful is that as every day we add a new concept to our dictionary or to our things to learn. So there we keep forgetting the previous things. As if you don't want to lose the control of them, then we need to have in small revisions. That revisions should not take much time. So then what do we need to do? We need to remember some key lines about a complete concept. So when we remember that key lines, the entire definition will reach to you. Okay. So now in the concept of built-in function, don't forget to remember readily comes with Python, which are already available. Okay. So now I have listed a very few built-in functions. Why I said only few? Because compared to the rest of other programming language, the Python has extensive library. Extensive in the sense there are thousands of libraries are there, but which are already available. If you think that you can create one of your own library, yeah, you can create one of your own library, and that created library, you can store it permanently into your system, so that in the same system, as many programs, as many modules, or as many projects you are going to write, in every project you can implement that library, so that the reusability of the code is extended to not one program, extended to not multiple program, extended to multiple projects, because you have written it only once. Okay, but you are using it multiple times. Okay, so in that case, I'm trying to list out only very few which are as per your topics. The one we call them as the general functions, which is also called as mathematical functions. What are those mathematical functions? See, there are some functions called as ABS, absolute value, and we have some of the functions called as mathematical function: cos, sine, tan, secant, cosecant, cot, or what we call it as logarithmic functions, square root functions, power functions. See, now all these are what? You need not to create it, which is already available. You need to learn how to call them. That's it. Okay, they are all called general functions. Then how about string function? Means, what do you mean by string? Yeah, what do you mean by string?
Statement enclosed within apostrophes which have no value, sir. If 8 means the system will consider as it not consider the value, sir.
Okay. No. I'm asking you that. What do you mean by string? I'm not speaking about an alternative to the value. String is not a value, that is agreed. But the thing is, what do you mean by string?
The words which written under the apostrophe comes.
Okay, the words what we write in apostrophe, so that is called string, right? Okay. Now I'll do one thing. Everybody, we have our names, right? Can we consider only the first alphabet of the name as a string? Don't get confused. I'll let you say one.
No, sir.
See, now a single alphabet is called character, right? A group of alphabets are called what? Group of alphabets?
Words, sir.
Words, right? Okay. Do one thing. Replace that word to string in programming. Okay. Why? Let me say you. As per the standard of English, we say alphabets 26, group of alphabets words, group of words sentences, group of sentences paragraphs, group of paragraphs with modules, group of modules with chapters to volumes, right? This is how exactly we measure them. But when it comes to programming, we don't say that. What we say is only we consider a data of a particular type. As earlier I said that there are 5 types of data, which is called multimedia. Okay, but among that I said the text. The text is a one type of a data which a multimedia can understand. But apart from the multimedia, when it comes to programming, the one text is being again further categorized as numbers and text, or numbers and string. Okay, the numbers is again further categorized as a whole number, real number. Again further categorized as integer, float. Integer with no decimal value, float with the decimal value, right? But when it comes to string, or we call it as a string, yeah, that is again considered as what? Single character, multi-character. When it is a single character, I do perform with only one particular characteristics. But when it comes to multi-character, then I want to follow the rule of strings. Why I am going much depth about the concept of string, you know? See, string has some manipulation functions. String has manipulation functions. What is the manipulation function? For example, there is one word called as palindrome. Okay, means I will be writing some group of words, sorry, group of alphabets. That group of alphabets, I want to make it reverse and check. Even after reversing, will the word has the same meaning? Sorry, not the meaning, has the same framing? If yes, then we call it as a palindrome. If no, then we don't call it as palindrome, right? So if we want to do some such activity, then we will be using string function. Let me repeat again. I want to find out how many alphabets are there in my name. I want to count. The count is also one function in the string function, but basically we don't call it as count. We call them as a len. Len is length function, which is going to give how many characters that string has. If I say my name, so then it says 7 characters. If you say your name, just count it and it is what it's going to return. It's not only about length, or it's not about the reverse. It is all about converting all the small letters to capital letters, all the capital letters to small letters. You can ask me, one example I'll give you. Sir, where do we use? Now you see, you go for a Google. I wanted to create some Gmail account. There you will be asked for to enter some email ID. Choose of an email ID. When you are going to choose, you are not worried of writing capital letters and small letters. You just keep typing. But believe it or not, there are no email IDs with capital letters. You might have observed, everybody's email IDs are what? In small letters only. Nowhere you are going to see the capital letters. So that's a standard they use. Why? Because the Gmail or any of the networks, what they are using is, they are considering everything as case sensitive. Means the things what you write it in capitals and small, they makes a difference. So on that basis, the email IDs, everything they want to convert into small. Now, intentionally, I'm repeating, intentionally, if you keep writing the things in capital letters, that is going to convert it to small letters. Understand? When you intentionally write the things into capital letters, that converts into small letters. How they convert? This is some function. What? The string function has one function called lower. You give capital letters and pass it into the lower function. That gives you lower value. How? I'll just share the one. See, I'll say that name is equals to user. I'm taking this. I hope it's visible. Okay, so the name is equals to user. What will I say is that I want to make it, the output should be something like this. Print in this. I don't want to print as the same thing. Okay, so I want to print something like this called as lower of name. So when I do this one, I'm going to get something called as in small letters. See, don't forget, I'm going to get the answer in small letters. The same statement, if I'm going to use, call them as upper, the output will be user. Means you are converting any type of a text in either lowercase or the uppercase. Now some of the other question comes to you. So can I make something called as first letter capital and the last letter capital, where the rest of all the letters should be small letters? Yeah, you can do that. There is some functionalities here. Means identify the first position of the index and convert that into capital letter. Now question comes, do I need to make a capital entire string or only character? Yes. Do I need, I want to make a capital of a first letter and last letter, but not all the letters. In that case, do I need to convert, do I need to convert entire string or only a specific character? Yeah, specific character, right? Okay. When you want to do a specific character, then the string function will not be helpful for you. Why? Why? Let me say you. Right now, you just gone through something called as user, and that user is a one which has been converted everything in a small letters. How U was capital, it has been converted to small. S is already small letter, so it is again the small. E is small, E is small. S, R is small, R is small. But when you come to the concept called as a name here in a upper, so where U is capital, S is capital, E is capital, R is capital. Means what? Every character was being converted into capital. Means the string function applies to entire string. But there is another function called character functions. The character functions are the few functions in which manipulates only part of the string, not complete string. Manipulates only part of the string. Okay, so how? I'll just give up with a particular example for you peoples. Okay, so I want you peoples to get more number of questions of that type. So then I'm going to give you an execution also. Just now I'm trying to show you the syntax of this. Okay, so this few examples. Now I'll get back to the screen. Yes, next, list array. List in the sense, see, yeah, other programming languages use a concept called arrays, where here the list is something which is being used by the Python. Okay, there are something called as a list, tuples, set, dictionary. All these are what we call sequences. All these are what called sequences. Among this, few are the one which accepts a duplication. Few are the one which don't accept the duplications. Which accepts the duplications, and few are the one which don't accept the duplications. Okay, but everything has a functions. For example, generic one I'm going to speak to you. It's not for the list, it's for not for the tuple or the set or dictionary. Just to give a clarity, I have written some list of numbers, or sorry, group of numbers. Now when I wanted to find a specific number, I want to write a logic. But sorry, we have a built-in function. Just to call a function called as a find and give the number, the item is going to be ready if it is been available. Means it gives you true if item is found. It gives you false if the item is not found. If the item is not found. Such type of built-in functions are there in list, tuple, set. Okay. Now, you can ask me, so can you list out those functions for me? Don't worry. As I said, in a PPT, we can't fit all the functions in single screen because it looks much clumsy. So I'm trying to prepare a separate document for that. I'm going to list out all the functions to you, which you people can use it as reference whenever you people are going to practice. Okay, that is. Now I'm just giving you the headline concept about what are the functions. Said na, built-in functions are pre-existed functions in Python. Okay, so among that, these are the few list I have given to you peoples. Okay, so there's a next, so that will be going up with. Yes, user-defined function. I said something about, yeah, what is user-defined function? The function that we define ourselves to do a certain specific task or referred to as user-defined functions. Means which is not available, we are creating it. Okay, so for creating it, this is a rule. This is a rule. Now I think it's going to be clear for you on the screen. The first line, what I have represented with the hash trick. Okay, sorry, hash, not hash trick, it's a hash. Okay, hash trick or hash trick, fine. The hash trick symbol, what is being used, so this is going to represent as a function comment. Function comment. Okay, then what is that? I am going to directly write it in between the quotes, which I'm not initializing. Do you understand? Which I'm not initializing. If I initialize, that becomes a content data that I'm going to set it for the variable, but here I'm not setting anything. Then what does it becomes? That becomes a doc string. What does it becomes? It becomes a doc string. Means you can write a complete story of that function, what it is for. What it is for. Understand? Okay. So in that, leave the comment line, leave the doc string. Then I have got only 3 lines to convince you people. Only 3 lines. Okay. The first one, as I said, DEF. What is that? DEF means defining a function. And what am I doing? I am defining the function. Okay. The function name should not have a space. Hope you understand. Function name should not have a space. So that's why even I use the underscore. That's why when I use the underscore. The parameters. The parameters can be a single parameter or multiple parameters. Not a problem. The parameters can have single or multiple parameters. Don't worry. We'll be using with an example. And now, once after this, the story, we are going to write it about the, about this function. But the function suit in a sense, here you are going to write the logic. Here you are going to write the logic. Logic in the sense, no matter what is the things is running in your mind, everything you are going to put there. Okay. And finally, once after writing a single line or multiple line of statements of what you want to provide it, the last one is called, as I said, return. If DEF is the first line, return is the last line. In between that, whatever you are going to present, that becomes a function. So I said group of statements, whether it is a single line or multiple lines. If it is multiple lines, group of statements. If single line, a one-line statement that is being defined with a word. What? Function name with the parameters is called user-defined function. User-defined function. Okay. So this is what. Okay. And even I have got an example for that. I'll just give a clarity in the next session with an execution. I said I'm going to present the syntax for you today, and in the next session I'm going to give you the execution method also, how it can be executed now. Okay, so that we see it in the next class. Fine. Yeah, can you give me the example? Right. Okay, the example in the sense, see, right now we just took the one example here. DEF, I said my function. I said my function with no parameters, means nothing inside. There are always the functions are defined in 2 types. What? With the parameter, without parameter. With parameter in the sense, you give something, what should be specific. Without parameter in the sense, nothing specific, general. I write a statement, and that statement will be common for all the functions. As many times I'm going to call, it repeats the same. Okay, so see that. I said what? My function without any space, with a colon, and then print hello from a Python function. Means when you want to call, when you are going to call, just simple, see like this. When you are going to call my underscore function, it is going to call the function. It's going to call the function. Okay. So in the function, what is that? That print statement will be executed. That print statement will be executed. Okay. So that we see it in the next class, how exactly the execution will take place. Now one question for you. Are you people are good at execution of the programs? Tried?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then the same thing will be continued here again. Okay. If any of the few people did not try, don't worry. Everything will be from the scratch. Okay, so this is what for today we are going through. So in the next session, we'll continue the next concept with a complete set of example, some real-time examples, or some of the examples which can be suitable for your programs, for your examinations also. So we do see that things. Okay, so rest. See you in the next class. Any doubts?
Sir, will you share this PPT in group, sir?
Yeah, I will share, man. Yeah, I'll share. And there are a few, some blanks are there. I'm going to fill it up. Okay, and come to once after completion, I'm going to share it to you peoples. Ultimately, this is for your reference only, man. I'm going to share it to you. Okay, the next, anybody else, any other doubts? Are you people easily understanding my things, what I'm trying to explain? Feeling hard?
Yes, sir.
Feeling hard?
Sir, no, sir. It's easy only.
That's fine. Okay, not a problem. Yeah. Okay, then fine. See you in the next class with more content, with more set of examples. Okay, we will work on more number of examples. It will be most helpful for you people and it will fix it in your minds. Fine then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.